Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
So as you can see, you all have the copy of the pain point report, so I encourage you to follow along with us here. But Ruchi, maybe if you could talk about why is it important that we produce something like this?
I think Grand Farm, first of all, before even talking about Grand Farm, I think it's all about growers. And knowing the fact that growers are at the center of our ecosystem, it's important that we bridge the gap between what the growers face, the challenges or the pain points that we're talking about, connect them with our ecosystem, with the different partners, whether it is policymakers, corporations, startups, educators, researchers, investors.
Yeah, and so, tell us a little bit about the report. What's it all about?
So as the name suggests, it's the grower pain point report. So basically talking about the challenges and the struggles that the farmers and ranchers have in their operations. And at the end of the day, most often, these growers are the end users of the agricultural technology. So that's what this report is about. And I purposely held this report in my hand because it's in bullet points. It's not something that's going to take you long. So it's short, sweet, and crisp.
And talk about the process of how we created this and how did you think about laying the structure out?
For the structure, Grand Farm has an ecosystem established, and now it was all about being strategic about how we talk about the right challenges to the right people in this room and outside.
Great, and I think we have a couple of people here, one of the growers themselves.
Yes, I think in this world of artificial intelligence and filters, where everything is online from shopping to movies, it's important to get some reviews and comments, which we secretly rely on. I'd love to invite an educator/researcher we have in the room to know about what they think about our report.
Yeah.
So with that, I'd like to invite Dr. William Ganji, who is the chairman and professor of the Agriculture and Applied Economics Department at NDSU since 2013. He has worked with farmers to address ROI of technologies to mitigate fusarium head blight, also known as scab, a fungal disease that affects small grain crops grown in North Dakota and several wheat and barley growing states. He has also addressed the role of university extension in the adoption of variable rate fertilizer technology. He was one of the 3 economists in the nation to evaluate the cost and benefits of traceability in the Food Modernization Act. In 2022, he was the best applied economics graduate professor in the nation, and he has also worked extensively with industry and policymakers addressing food risks and insurance problems. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Dr. William Ganji. Dr. Ganji, you have seen Grand Farm since its birth. How do you see the alignment between this report and the work that we do with the AgTech ecosystems?
Ruchi, when I was reading this report, I got really excited because I've seen Grand Farm since its creation, and this report provides the biggest help that Grand Farm is doing for the region to help create the #1 AgTech ecosystem in the nation. Another thing that I really liked about this report, our farmers here, they feed the world. And they face some of the biggest challenges in feeding the world and providing renewable energy security. And when they face those challenges, they need the help that technology can provide to transform those challenges into opportunities. So creating that ecosystem, the AgTech companies can come and help these farmers to take those challenges and make them opportunities. And that's what you identified in the report.
Yep.
Another thing that I really liked about this report is that as a researcher from NDSU and a faculty, I've been doing research for the last 25 years. But when I look at the way that research can come in, extension faculty can come in and provide this one-stop, reliable things that people or farmers can talk to them and have confidence in terms of applying the technology and making sure that it's profitable and it's risk neutral or it reduces their risk. And then R&D is expensive. All of us know that. So collaborating with the university to make sure that we can provide that R&D for the AgTech companies that will help the farmers is a beautiful ecosystem.
I think those are pretty good comments. So how many stars would you give out of 5, Dr. Ganji?
Oh, I give it a perfect 5.
Woo!
Because if you read this report as an evaluator, I'll give it an A. It's solid A.
Thank you. It's not a paid promotion, FYI, for all the audience. Thank you, Dr. Ganji. Really.
No, it's a beautiful report. I enjoyed reading it, and I hope all of you will too.
Thank you, Dr. Ganji. Appreciate your critical comments and the 5-star for sure. Now, I want to mention, as we proceed ahead, growers are at the center of our ecosystem, so any conversation is incomplete without having a grower. I would now like to invite David Gorder. He is on our grower advisory board, and the reason why I want to invite him is I sent him the finalized report last night, and I'm pretty sure his comments would be pretty fresh. So David, why don't you come over and share what you think about the report, and how can it help out our ecosystem?
Well, I'll start by saying, Ruchi, I feel like the kid in school that did the least on the group project and is getting credit for it, getting a good grade. I missed a couple of the sessions, but you guys did a phenomenal job. I think reading through it, it's really difficult when you take the term farmer and rancher. It's such a generic term because each operation is so different. Everybody is producing something, but doing it in different means, getting to that point in different ways. So for startups, corporations, educators, policymakers to get that first step, that initial information out of that report is very critical. Because ultimately, like for startups, you're working with your own niche. And so you're going to have a group of growers that are going to probably be more well-suited for your product. Sure. You know, how do you dial that in? You read this report to validate what you're doing as a company in the way that you're presenting it. Mm-hmm. And then ultimately it comes down to relationships, it comes down to conversations. But I think this is a really good starting point to validate that product or service that you're
Thanks, David. It feels great to hear that from a grower. Thank you so much, David. Appreciate your comments. Ladies and gentlemen, we would love your feedback on this report. As Dr. Ganji mentioned, it is a continuous improvement process for Grand Farm. It's not a final version. We plan to build on this every single year. So your feedback really matters to us. Thank you for your time and attention. Have a good one.